Hey everyone, my name's Derek. Thanks for tuning into my channel. If you watched the very first video on the Virago build, you'll notice that it does not look the same. So I went through and started tearing it all apart. I didn't want to video that just because I think it's quite boring, and the fact that I was trying to remember where everything goes. Well, I didn't remember fully, but we'll get there. So what I did, and what I'm going to do in this video, is talk you through how I removed all the chain drive stuff. So if you know anything about Viragos, you know that this is the chain drive model. Very few of them actually came to the States, so if you're in Europe or anything other than the US, it would be considered like a Yamaha TR1. There's probably some differences, but very similar. So I wanted to eliminate all the chain covering that's on there, which is really annoying. I think it looks very cluttersome and doesn't look good. I want to run an exposed chain. So the first thing I did was kind of tear all of it apart, and then I'll take you through some of that. Okay, so here is the chain cover. So the sprocket is inside of this. So what you'll notice here is there's two cuts in there. Don't really worry about that for now. But what happened is I want to take this off. But when you remove this cover, there's actually this stem, and you can kind of see it here. This stem, if I can get it in focus, goes in, and it actually aligns in this bearing here that the sprocket kind of lives on. So I was gonna have this part just machined, and then I was kind of taking a look at it, and I noticed that inside of this cover, there was that metal or steel sleeve, and all of this is cast aluminum. So I had a sneaky suspicion that this part was cast in and it wasn't necessarily pressed in. So I went over to my buddy's shop, and we just took it through the bandsaw all the way down on each side, so that effectively it could be split, and we split out the sleeve. So instead of it being machined, I'll have the actual sleeve, and you kind of see these little grooves in here. This just shows you that it was cast in, and if you try to press it out, it will not happen. So I got to thank some people on the Facebook forum who said, you know, just cut it out and use this piece. Other people have cut kind of around this and left this disc here. I thought it was easier to just pull this sleeve out, and hopefully this will work. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of clean up the sprocket area with all that grease that I showed you, and then once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and start assembling the rear wheel, and hopefully this will solve the issue. I also, once I take these guys off, I also have to pull off the sprocket here and take off this backing plate. So this backing plate is essentially, let's see here, the backing plate is what bolts to the cover here, so I can take this off completely. And then these things here go into the actual rear wheel. So I'll pull the sprocket off, and then we can pull the backing plate off, and then this piece effectively just goes right in here. You can see that fits in there really nice, and then the axle will go through. Alright guys, here we go. There's everything together. So taking that sleeve, you might be able to see in here a little bit. That sleeve that I cut off, the OEM one, works perfectly. So it should work without issues. Maybe it would have been better to leave the aluminum piece on so that it would cover this whole bearing, but I don't really see much of an issue with it right now. I guess we'll kind of play it by ear and see how it goes, but I mean, if you're familiar with how these things looked before with all that guarding in there, it's going to be a lot nicer with just this open sprocket. So guys, thanks for checking out this video. In the next one, we'll probably be doing the R6 rear shock and possibly even the whole R6 front end. So I did order a R6 rear shock, which I have. I'm just waiting on the bracket from De Steel Moto, if I said that correctly, and then we'll get that guy in, so we'll have all modern suspension. So stay tuned to a future video. Thanks for checking this out.